guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be doing this makeup look, which is a really simple makeup look. It's not too fussy and fancy, but it's a few more steps from the other makeup video I did for you guys, which was my 7-step makeup routine. And I will be using some new products that were sent to me by 25th Hive and by Maybelline, and then of course some of my products that are in my arsenal right now. But to make it a little bit more interesting, I will also be answering some of the questions that you guys left for me with regards to the business of blogging and YouTube. I don't know how many questions I'll get through. Actually, I do know because I've already shot this video. I don't get through a lot because I'm not so good at multitasking, but you know what? At least I'm hopefully making this video a little bit more interesting for you guys. Oh, one more thing. I get a lot of questions about my hair. I will be doing a hair video, a hair tutorial, a hair focused video soon. So worry not. I've seen all your comments about my hair, and I will do something about it very soon. If you want to know how I came up with this look, and if you want to know what my thoughts are on the business of blogging and the business of YouTube, then keep watching. It's gonna be very chill over here because I'm obviously not a makeup guru. I'm not even one of those makeup YouTubers who like really bake their face and end up looking flawless. I'm just the average girl who likes to occasionally play with makeup and doesn't take it too seriously, so no judgment, please. Let's start with some prepping, and I'm going to be using Maybelline's Baby Lips. Actually, I'm going to use this other one. I'm going to use this one. Also, I'm using natural light, so if the lighting keeps changing, just please bear with me. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a thing for lip balms. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is a really nice citrus scent. What is this? This is, oh, orange. I don't know if it tints your lips, but we'll see together. No, it does not, but it feels really good. The primer I will be using is by Black Opal, and it's the Invisible Oil Blocking Mattifying Primer. And this was actually sent to me by Grace of 25th Hive. And it's this Instagram, I think they're on Facebook as well. I'll link them down below. So this is actually the second time I'm using this primer, and I really like the feel of it. It has this like satin, almost feels like velvet. And I have combination skin, so I tend to get really oily across my T-zone. The next thing I'm going to do is something that I first watched Patricia Bright do, and I was like, what? Then I tried it and I absolutely loved it. And this was like a couple months ago. And every time I've done it on my face, like every time I've added this step to my makeup routine, I've gotten a comment on either my makeup looks really nice today, or wow, how are you so matte? And it's like so much later in the day. And I actually saw Nancy Moore use it and Joanna Kinuthia. So pretty certain, like if these makeup gurus are doing this, I'm just saying you better jump on this train real soon. So I'm going to go in with my M.A.C Prep and Prime color correcting loose powder. It's the only powder I have. It sort of leaves a white cast on my face, but it's okay. The makeup eventually just takes it out and it looks normal. So if you see a white cast, don't panic, is what I want you to know. I think I'll use this to apply it. And it is, doesn't have a name, but it's a Real Techniques brush. I guess it's just their powder brush. So I'm just gonna start with the first question. And this one is by Lorraine Asige, who, by the way, you guys, is an author. She published a book called Rosie, which I would highly recommend you guys to go out and buy. It's only 350 shillings. And I know this because we recently did an Our Two Cents where we shouted out a couple of authors. So Lorena Siges says she has 2 questions. 1, could you share your 5 most helpful tips on blogging? So the first thing I would say is try talking about or writing about something that you're truly interested in, passionate about, or curious about. Because that ultimately means whoa, I just ate all of that powder. Anyway, but the more passionate you are about something, then the more likely you will stick through it, even when you're feeling a little bored or a little uninspired, then you'll probably just push through and try your best to get the momentum going again. But my first tip is talk about things that you're genuinely curious about. And like these days on the internet, there's topics on everything, and like there's videos about like extractions, popping extractions. Like there's millions of views on videos about people who just like press their pimples and like stuff oozes out, which I don't get it, but there's people watching it. I guess what I'm saying is there's most likely a community interested in the things that you're interested in. The second is have your goals and your targets very clear, clearly outlined. That way you can hold yourself accountable. Okay. Ooh. Also, I don't know what gave me the idea to do this because my multitasking skills are not so good. Next, I'm going to go in with this Maybelline Superstay 24-hour Longwear foundation. Gonna shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. This is going to be the second time I'm using this foundation, and what I noticed from the first time is that, oh no, oh gosh, the first time I used it, I didn't shake it. So when I like pumped some of the foundation in my hand, it was super runny. So what I was going to tell you is that it's a super runny foundation, but what I've just found out is that Sharon didn't do it right the first time. And what I will do is I will dot this at the center of my face. It's not my color, as you can see. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's not my color, and it's got like a, I don't know if the right term is grayish tone. But I think I don't know what skin tone I am. I'm gonna be lying to you guys if I pretend I know anything about my skin tone. Or my undertones rather. So I'm going to dot it around this area of my face. And then around the edge of my face, I'm going to go in. Did I even see the shade of this one? I did not, I don't think. This is True Caramel, number 58. That's the Maybelline one. And then this is Black Opal's foundation stick, and it's in the shade Nutmeg, and I will take this round the edges of my face. So essentially, I know the powder made it look like my face is now white, but this should help like bring it back to my actual color. I'm gonna put this here too. I will use this Real Techniques, I think this is, yeah, it's the multitask brush. Okay, so another tip, what would another tip be? Keep it simple to start with. You don't have to have like a team of 5 or like, I don't know, like the most expensive camera and the most expensive design on your website. Just keep it simple. The key, really and truly, the key is to start. That's the hardest part. That's what I found to be the hardest thing. We can all have these great grand plans and ideas on how we want to essentially just take over the world, but you know what they say about the graveyard. That's where the most potential lies, because there are all these people sitting on their potential with all these ideas and did nothing. So the key is to start. Keep it simple. You don't have to complicate things. Just get going, and eventually you find your rhythm, you find your groove, and you learn. Like even with me and this YouTube thing, like I've been doing this now consistently every Thursday for the past, how long now? 2 months now, and there are times I'm just like, oh my gosh, who came up with the idea to do YouTube videos? Like, what was I thinking? How does that look on camera? I don't know. But in person, it doesn't look too bad, let me tell you that. But really and truly, the key is to start. Just get to it. I know those weren't 5 tips, but you know what? That's what we're going for. The second thing you asked was on vlogging, what editing software do you use? And I use Final Cut Pro 10. I know there's people who like to use Premiere Pro, and people say that that's actually easier. I started off by using iMovie because that's what my laptop had, and it made sense. It worked. I had no complaints. Every time I watch a movie or a YouTube video that I like and I like the edits, I'm always like, take note. And I don't just say it in my brain, I write it down, because if I just leave it to my memory, I won't remember. So I try and write it down so I have it in like my pool of ideas when it comes to editing. Okay, I think I have been literally blending for a while and it's as blended as this is going to be. I don't know. I mean, you can definitely see a difference. I don't think this is really my color. It's a little bit more pale and I think I'm more, I want to say I'm more golden. I think I'm more olive toned. I think I have that olive undertone. But anyway, it'll blend in. By the time we're done, it's not going to look so different. Eyebrows. Let's do eyebrows. So I'm going to be using the Black Opal eyebrow pencil, and I'm so far down I don't even know what number this is. Like I've just sharpened it off. You know, if I'm being very honest, I feel like my eyebrows are a place in my makeup routine that I really need to perfect and figure out. I just feel like people online on YouTube have really learned how to come up with these perfect eyebrows. And I don't like mine looking like super perfect. What I mean is like they're perfectly imperfect. They just look so natural and it's not like this sharp arch. And I just always struggle with how mine end up looking, or what I have in my mind for how I want my eyebrows to turn out isn't what it ends up looking. But what I do to make it a little less harsh, because I like it looking more natural, is I only focus on trying to fill in this part of my eyebrow, not so much the front part, just this part. So I barely touch the front part. It's just the end, like the tail of my brow. And then another tip I saw on YouTube the other day by a YouTuber, I can't remember her real name, but she goes by Lux or something like that, is using soap to set your brows, which now I feel bad, I forgot to bring soap here, but I'm going to do it at some point in the video. I'm definitely going to go get soap. Okay, and then to contour, I'm going to use the Sleek Face Contour Kit in the shade Dark. Woo. Let me tell you something, I am terrified of having like too much makeup on my face, so I barely put anything on. Like I started to panic when I saw just a little bit of shadowing there, which is what contouring is about. But I was like, ooh, careful Sharon, don't overdo it. I quite like this. Okay, second question comes from Mkomera Nirongo. And she says, I don't know how to word this question about business. I'm interested in sharing my life and what I'm into and creating a brand, but I don't feel I have the image, and that's why I want to do it, to help my confidence. Are there things you wish you didn't share from the beginning or think you shouldn't have shared, e.g. family, relationships, personal experiences, etc.? How could one be private but share? Is that possible? Ain't that the question? Like, I'm also trying to figure that out. Like, how much is too much? But you know what I've learned? It's about trying to figure out the balance. And I think I even said it in my last Q&A. It's about trying to figure out the balance between being open, being vulnerable, because I think that's when ultimately you're able to really connect, if you can see something in me that you also see in yourself. And that often comes whenever we take off the cloak and the mask and we let ourselves be seen. So being more vulnerable ultimately would help this connection become even stronger. Sorry, camera cut off. Anyway, I'm going to try and remember what I was saying. What I've learned is that not everyone has earned the right to see you, has earned the right to witness you being vulnerable. And so if you have that in the back of your mind, then that ultimately makes sure that you know when to say what, how much to say, if you even need to say anything. If there are things that are really near and dear to your heart, so maybe your family is something that you don't want to talk about, your relationships are something that you don't want to talk about, money is something you don't want to talk about, then have it very clear in your mind what those things are. And that means it doesn't matter who's asking, when they ask, how many times they ask, you don't have to share because you know exactly where your boundaries are in that sense. So just have an idea of what exactly it is that you are willing to share with the world, keeping in mind that the more vulnerable you are, the more people will connect with what you have to share. But also don't feel the pressure to share everything. You know, that being said, it makes sense to me now why and I know I'm about to use this as an example, but don't judge me, but why the Kardashians are as famous as they are, it's because they have just been as open and as vulnerable as anyone can be. Can you imagine being that open with the world? Like, knowing that people will judge you for how you speak, how you think, who you marry, what you eat, what you wear, what you don't wear. Like, it's crazy. You get so much judgment for it, but at the same time, it's the reason they're on their, what is it? That they just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. This year is their 10 years of doing this thing over and over again. And it's wildly successful. And it's because they've just opened the doors into spaces that people would normally never even dream of letting people in. Anyway, so does that even answer your question? I don't even know if that answers your question, but let's get on with makeup. Okay, so I feel like I'm all over the place when it comes to makeup, and I'm not following any particular rule, but this is how I do my makeup. I don't try and do this perfect thing. I don't know if that was too much contour, but we will try and blend it out a little bit more. I think it's fine. My eyelids are so oily. Anyway, I'm going to use this Revlon Colorstay concealer to highlight under my brow. I think we can move on to eyes, right? And I always start with a primer because, I mean, you guys can see, I don't know if you can see, but my eyelids are pretty oily, so if I don't put an eye primer on, then they end up creasing really bad. And I'm just going to use this Urban Decay eyeshadow primer, the original one, and I just place a little bit on my eyelids, and then I use my ring finger to blend. For eyeshadow, I'm just going to use this Nouba pod, and I'm trying to look for a color. I can't see the name of it. I'm going to use my Real Techniques base shadow brush, and then I'm just going to answer our next question. And this one comes from It's a Mama's World, and says, hey, Mundia here. Hi Mundia, how are you? She says, glad you're back, Sharon, thank you. First question is, how do I get back after a long silence of not writing on my blog and or uploading YouTube videos? The simple answer is, you just do. You upload, you get back, you write, you tweet, you Instagram, whatever it is that you feel like you want to get back to, you do it. I mean, I had been out of the game for a year. It had been, I was terrified. I was like, I don't know if anyone will want to see what I have to share, but I just shared regardless. And I think we sometimes are a little bit too hard on ourselves, and we assume that we have to have this perfect comeback or perfect performance or perfect score in life and in whatever it is that you do, when in actual fact, all you need to do is to show up. You need to do what needs to be done. You need to upload, you need to press send, you need to send that email, you need to go see that person that you were avoiding, you need to send that text that you didn't want to send. You just need to do it. But make sure that you know what it is that made you want to leave in the first place, so that you've addressed whatever it is that kept you away for that long. That way you're not likely to fall back into the same kind of rut. I hope that makes sense, Mundia. But you really should just come back. We want you back. And then what I will do, you guys, so I'm going to go into my sleek blush palette. What is it called? Blush by 3 palette. And I'm going to take this orange shade, and that's what I'm going to use on my crease to sort of just give myself a transition color. Mostly because I forgot my other palette and I'm just too lazy to walk back. I'm sorry there's just all this noise coming through, but we're just going to push through. And then I think I want to darken the edges a little, so I'm going to go in with the Elizabeth Arden eyeshadow duo, and it's number 4, it's Heathered Plums. This color, it's so pretty. And then I'm going to use it on the outer edge of my eye just to deepen and darken that corner. Okay, so Mundia's second question was, consistency is key, but how do you do it? work, baby, and I need to sleep too. LOL. Oh my goodness, Mundia, don't I know it? It's hard, but you know what? Set your priorities. That's the key. You need to be honest with yourself and with your friends what and who actually matters. And this is where you end up losing a couple of friends, okay? Because some people just don't understand. It's a lot. You end up juggling a lot, and especially as a new mom, like if you expect me to respond to your text immediately you send it, it's a lot you're trying to juggle, and you're trying your best to be present, relax, work, make money, pay the bills, create, be happy. It's a lot, and I think this is where you just need to be honest with yourself and you start to prioritize. Okay, so that's the first step. If you prioritize, then you can get rid of all the other things that are probably taking your time and causing you to fragment yourself in ways that are unnecessary, and you are able to have more time to do what you need to do. The second thing is you force yourself to do it. Since we're being honest, I'm gonna be honest right now. Like the whole morning I was like, oh Lord, I don't want to film this, and you know, I want to be authentic, and I don't want to just film when I'm not really feeling it, because I feel like that energy will be transferred, and I need for these videos to be uplifting, and I can't take the chance of filming when I'm not feeling myself, so you know what, I'm not going to film. That's me copping out. That's me taking the lazy way out. And I was just like, no, enough is enough. Get up. Get to work. You need to do it. Thursday is around the corner. No excuses. This is the reason why there are people who flourish and then there's people who don't. It's because you can't get yourself to get up. And I'm not trying to simplify that, the reason between why people are successful and why others aren't, to just this one thing. But most of the time it's because we couldn't get ourselves to get up and get going and do what needs to be done. I do have my lazy moments. Sometimes that lazy moment could be a lazy day, but I don't grant myself the luxury of just being like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't feel like filming, I don't feel like working, I don't feel like emailing. I try my level best to just remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my daughter, knowing that I need to provide for my daughter, that's my number one driving force right now. And it gets me up and out of bed and gets me going. So I think just knowing why you're doing it is also really important. Okay, what are we doing now? Let us do highlight. Oh, highlight or blush? Let's do blush actually. And for blush, I'm going to mix a couple of colors. The first being Elizabeth Arden's Radiance blush in Wild Berry, and it's this really pretty color. Woo! I get so scared when I see a lot of color on my face. I'm like, ah, you overdid it. But whenever I take pictures or after some time when it's sat on my face for a while, I start to feel like, okay, it wasn't too bad, but in the moment I'm like, ugh. And then I will also add this middle color in the Sleek Blush by 3 palette, and it's called Muscovado. It's such a pretty color. So now time for highlight, and I'm going to go in with the Physician Formula highlight, and this is Sunset Strip. This says it's a custom bronzer, blush, and eyeshadow. I didn't even know that. Anyway, so these two are from 25th Hive, and I never used this kind of brush before. Before for my highlight, I would use this type of brush, which this is by Real Techniques, and it's a setting brush. It's actually a setting brush, but I use it for my highlight because I like that I can really focus it on where I want. But I realized that using this type of like fan brush gives it a more, I don't know, like natural finish. Like it doesn't go in heavy. It's so pretty. I love it. I really hope you can see how it's coming out. And these days I find myself doing that as well. I don't know why, but oh my god, I love it. I love it. Let's do mascara. I am of course going to go in with this Maybelline mascara, and it's the Colossal Go Extreme Volume. I really really like this mascara. And you guys know that Maybelline is known for their mascaras. I think they were the first brand to come out with mascaras, and I don't know if I've ever said this before here, but if I remember correctly, how they came up with mascara was this guy had a sister called Mabel or something like that, and she wanted to impress this guy. The sister wanted to impress this guy, and so he was like, okay, so why don't we take some kohl, mix it with Vaseline, and you can put it on your lashes to just make them more flattery. And that's how they ended up coming up with mascara. And so Maybelline came about because they combined the lady's name, which I think was Mabel, and Vaseline to make Maybelline. How cool is that? If I remember correctly, if I'm not like completely destroying that story right now. Let's see, one more question. This one comes from BM, and she says, I live in South Africa. On your next Q&A, can you please give insights on how lucrative you think blogging etc. is in countries such as Kenya and SA? That's actually really good. I think it has a potential and has shown that it can be incredibly successful. And it's because first of all, I need to figure out what I'm doing for my lips, so give me a second. I'm going to use this LA Girl lip liner. I think it has the potential to be wildly successful. It's hard to talk when you're lining your lips also. Here's the thing. There's more and more Kenyans, South Africans in general, who have access to smartphones. More and more people have access to smartphones, which means more and more people have the ability to be online. And there's also a drive or movement towards creating our own stories as Africans. What does Africa look like? What does Africa sound like? And we want to tell that stories as Africans. And I can also say that as someone who does blogging and YouTubing kind of full-time, I also work at Capital FM, but this is something that I do full-time now, YouTube. I can tell you, even from a business perspective, that I do get a lot more emails right now than I did a couple of years ago from brands who are coming into the country or brands who want to highlight a new launch of their products, and they're looking to YouTubers and bloggers to highlight their products. I definitely think it's an industry that has a lot of potential and has a lot of room as well for newcomers. So if you want to come into this space, why not? Just make sure that you are true to yourself, that you actually are doing it because you love it, not necessarily because you're chasing the money, because at some point that will just become old, or it's not enough. That's not enough. And especially since this industry isn't all like flowers and roses and free makeup. You also get, there's the bad that comes with it, and that's like the judgment, the trolls. So it's not for everyone, but if you are passionate about this, then I highly suggest jumping in now. For my lips, I am going to use the Maybelline Vivid Hot Lacquer number 64. It's called Unreal. Okay, it's got the doe foot applicator. Oh, I usually love these. Love, love, love. Oh. This camera of mine keeps cutting out, so I'm going to try and be really quick. But basically what I was saying is that I really like this applicator. It's so nice. It just makes putting on makeup so much fun. And then I'm going to blend in the edges with my finger. Oof, that's so nice. I love that applicator. And I love that color. I think we're almost done. The one thing I want to do is try that soap trick I was telling you guys about. So I've got soap here. Actually, you know what? This needed to be wet. And since I don't have water close by, I'll just spray some M.A.C Fix Plus. Oh my god. Guess what my camera did? It cut out yet again. I feel like I'm being tested in every way today. So I'm just going to try and make this really quick. Point is, I used this, and I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I definitely could, and it made it more a little bit lighter. It doesn't feel hard either. I was scared that it would feel like it's so hard that if I touched it, it would break, but it feels perfectly fine. And I think I might actually use this as a trick for when I want to soften my brows, because I did tell you guys that I like my brows not looking too harsh. I don't always put concealer under my eyes, although maybe I could use a little bit of concealer under my eyes, but I don't always put it, so I didn't put it today. The last thing I want to do is use a little bit of Fix Plus. Oh God. I love the feeling of Fix Plus on my face. Yep, that's it. That is my makeup routine using products that I was recently sent and some products that I've had for a while. Thank you so much for watching. If this is the kind of video that you like, me doing my makeup or getting ready whilst answering some of your questions, then please give this video a thumbs up. That's how I know if you're actually interested in these kind of videos, and I can do something like this yet again and have like a themed Q&A session. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the notifications bell so you can get an alert as soon as I upload a video. As usual, I will see you guys next Thursday. Love and love. Bye!